am on a quest to answer a question which has been asked of me many times. A quest which will take us to all four corners of the UK. The quest to find the best town for game hunting in the UK. Hello again folks, and welcome back to a very special episode. That's because today we are starting a brand new quest. And this is one of my biggest quests to date. And this is a quest to find the best town for modern and retro video game hunting here in the UK. Over my years of game hunting, I have visited numerous towns all around the UK and slowly built up my dream game collection, which you can see around me. And it's so hard to decide which town in the UK is best for modern and retro game hunting. And this can be decided with so many factors. First of all, you want to look at what shops are available, and it's not just standard shops you'd expect like CEX. We're also looking at charity shops and of course independent gaming stores, and these are some of the best places to find the real hidden gems you just can't find in the normal places like CEX. Kings Lynn has a very strong case for the title of best game hunting town in the UK for many reasons. First off, it has an absolutely amazing selection of charity shops. Also, historically, I have said it has one of the best CEX stores I've ever visited. But its strongest claim is the fact it has not one, not two, but three absolutely incredible independent game stores. And trust me, this time you're in for an absolute treat as we visit Kings Lynn. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. If you want to help me on my quest even more and go above and beyond, please consider becoming a supporter over on Patreon. It's just £1 a month and you get tons of behind the scenes videos, bonus game sales from my collection, and even more amazing scenes from some of the best game hunting towns here in the UK. We'll start our hunt of Kings Lynn in some of the amazing charity shops that the town has to offer. And always check every charity shop you see, because on the face of things at first, it seemed like this charity shop only sold furniture. And yes, there is a lot of furniture in store here, but that's not all. As I went round the corner here, I could not believe what I saw. I don't remember the last time I've seen this many strategy guides in one place, and there were some absolutely amazing titles here. Really nice condition, decent strategy guides are getting very hard to find. Now unfortunately I'm running out of strategy guide space, so I did pass on these today, but there were some absolute bangers here in fantastic condition at decent prices, and honestly I found it pretty hard leaving these behind. If I had a bigger game room, I would have picked up a stack of these, as there was some absolute banging strategy guides here. But it's not just strategy guides, they also had video games, £3 each or 2 for a £5, and there was an absolutely massive selection here. We had Wii games, Xbox 360 games, PlayStation 2 games, a little bit of everything, and honestly, for a charity shop, this was an absolutely massive selection. And at a time when Xbox 360 prices are going through the roof, it is good to see such a large selection of Xbox 360 games here. Sadly, once again, nothing I needed for the collection, but it was great to see games in these kind of numbers. But this blew me away. A boxed Master System in 2024 in a charity shop for 50 quid. Yes, the box had seen better days, but what an incredible find. But not just that, there's also a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2. I could not believe the calibre of retro consoles I was seeing in a charity shop in 2024. Now here is something to keep an eye out for in charity shops. Harry Potter books, but very specific releases, such as his first edition misprint, which is selling for £100. I have no idea how to spot which specific release this is, but definitely, if you're charity shop hunting, one to keep an eye out for. Moving on to our next charity shop, and this is one I've visited before, and normally the glass cabinet of dreams in this charity shop is a little bit more exciting. Nothing much to see here this time. There were some cool kind of toy cars, this Gargoyles comic or book, but normally this thing is absolutely packed with retro, especially retro figures, but not much to see this time, which was a bit of a shame. This charity shop did also have some video games, but unfortunately it was the charity shop definition of video games. We're talking about FIFAs, shovelware and PC games, but I would rather see some video games rather than no video games. And heading on to the next charity shop, it was pretty much the same story here. The kind of games that are probably just going to sit on the shelves forever. But going through some of these DVDs, I did see something I've never seen before. This promotional DVD for FIFA 15. I was kind of tempted to pick this up just because it's something I've never seen before, but simply because it's FIFA, I did leave it behind. Whilst I was in Kings Lynn, I was amazed by the number of charity shops which had VHS tapes, as honestly in 2024 I just never seem to see VHS tapes in charity shops anymore, so it kind of blew my mind that they still had them. They did have a very small selection of video games in this charity shop as well, nothing too interesting. Again, charity shop shovelware games, the kind of games that are trading in for nothing at CX, so nothing too much interesting to see here. But where Kings Lynn really shines is in its selection of independent retro and modern gaming stores, and we are starting off quite ironically at Retro Records and Toys, and they also have a fantastic selection of video games in this store. Now this is a store which can be quite hard to find, but it is definitely worth hunting out. If you are planning a trip to Kings Lynn, you do not want to miss this store. And straight away, we are finding absolute bangers in here. Like, check out this Super Mario Bros. 3 t-shirt. They had a really good selection of retro and retro-inspired t-shirts in here, amongst many, many other cool things, including an absolutely massive selection of vinyl records, both from bands and also soundtracks, and also a very large selection of loose Magic the Gathering cards. And this is a super cool way to pick up specific single cards for your Magic decks, because honestly it is such a gamble buying booster packs. To be able to come in store and pick up single cards is a really cool way to build your ultimate deck. And again, an incredible selection of VHS tapes in here, but I must resist starting a brand new collection of VHS tapes. Here we have something I personally love to see, vintage Jurassic Park toys. I remember collecting all of these little mini die-cast dinosaurs back in the days. It was an absolute treat to see these, as well as this vintage TMNT stuff right here, including a knitting book, which I am lucky enough to have in my collection. Some other random retro figures here, really nice stuff. What I love about each of the glass cabinets in this store is how they are themed. So this one right here is all Masters of the Universe themed. Then we go down some kind of retro 80s cartoon themes. We have some Mask and some real Ghostbusters. Then, once again, something very close to my heart is WWF themed glass shelf. But of course there are video games and some really nice CIB Mega Drive games here, including Fatal Fury, which I was very, very tempted to pick up. An absolutely awesome game and just such iconic artwork. Some really nice video games in here, including Royal Rumble for the Dreamcast, a wrestling game which I don't hear many people talk about, and the prices in here were really, really good on retro games. And it was definitely a case of quality over quantity. Everything in here was in fantastic condition, CIB, and priced fantastically. One thing which I cannot stress enough, if you are a fan of Pokemon cards, you need to hit up Kings Lynn. There are so many shops that sell so many different Pokemon cards, both loose, graded, anything Pokemon card related. You need to head to Kings Lynn. Coming to the end of this first store here, we have some more vintage toys, and these Tomb Raider action figures from the movie were very, very tempted. I love any kind of action figure when it has that video game crossover, and these were really, really tempted. As I said, some really interesting action figures here. Again, really good prices and really, really well displayed. This store blew me away. One last thing before we continue and hunt, I was very, very tempted by this graded TMNT comic. It's got a pretty high grade, a 9.4, and I've always wanted to pick up one or two graded comics, but for me they have to be the perfect comic, and this was very, very close to catching that kind of idea of an iconic comic which I needed to display on my wall, but at the last minute I did pass on this one. I wish I could show you how awesome this next store is. Once was new, but unfortunately, due to an error on my part, I did visit on a day it was closed, but fear not, we'll be heading back here very soon in the future. Our next stop is the Retro Retreat, and this is without a shadow of a doubt one of my favourite independent gaming stores in the east of England. It is absolutely stacked with glass cabinets full to the brim of some of the best retro and modern gaming you can imagine. Anything you collect for, chances are you're going to find something incredible here at the Retro Retreat. From Atari to Xbox, they have everything. The N64 is a console which has always been close to my heart. It was one of the very first consoles I bought for myself with my own money, and there were some absolutely incredible N64 games here, all CIB and all in absolutely fantastic condition, including this game right here, Paper Mario. This is a holy grail N64 for so many people. Unfortunately, I couldn't pick up today, but who knows, maybe one day. From one Nintendo console to another, here we have some incredible boxed NES games, including Golf, Wild Gunman and Gyromite. I just love that kind of iconic black label artwork for the NES. I think even though some of the full cover artwork is a bit better in ways, I just love that kind of simple look of the early NES games. It just looks so cool. But honestly, when it comes to cool, is there anything cooler than the artwork for SNES games? Somehow they took it and perfected it. If you're in the market for some more modern Nintendo gaming, fear not, the Retro Retreat has you covered with an absolute sublime GameCube section, including Beautiful Joe 2, a game which you don't see very often, as well as some more common titles, but still at absolutely fantastic prices, and it always says if they have the manual or not, which honestly, when you're collecting for GameCube, you want to be picking up that sweet, sweet manual. If, like me, you collect strategy guides, you need to hit up the Retro Retreat. This is one of the best selections of strategy guides I've seen in a very long while. Some absolutely fantastic titles here at great prices. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know that as well as strategy guides, I'm a massive fan of steelbooks. And trust me again, the Retro Retreat has you covered if you are a collector of steelbooks. There were some absolutely incredible steelbooks here at some really great prices once again. And a steelbook which I have no idea what it is, but it commands a £150 price tag, so if you know which game this steelbook is for, please let me know in the comments down below, and if possible explain to me why it is so expensive. I'm not doubting the pricing here, I'm sure it's very, very rare, but I have no idea what game this is, and I need to know the reasons behind this price tag. Absolutely crazy. We've seen a lot of Nintendo games, but fear not, if you're a Sega fan, the Retro Retreat also has you covered. A massive selection of Mega Drive games, and honestly, one of the biggest selections of Dreamcast games I've ever seen. Like, comment below, when was the last time you have seen this many Dreamcast games in one place? I've never seen it. Randomly, I've been on a real controller collecting kick recently, and the Retro Retreat had some absolutely incredible controllers in stock, including one which I'd actually planned to buy at CEX later in the day. But honestly, I'd rather support this local independent store, so I'm going to grab it here. But you'll have to wait around till the pickups to find out which controller I've added to my collection. But trust me, it is one of the most beautiful controllers I've ever seen. After trading some items into the Retro Retreat towards the controller in question, I had a little bit of in-store credit left to spend, so I wanted to pick up a couple of cheap Xbox One games, because some of the Xbox One games in here are so incredibly cheap. These are some of the best prices I've seen in absolutely ages, and here is a game which I've been meaning to pick up for absolutely ages, and at this price, I can't leave this one behind. Watch Dogs 2? £2.75, I've already got that one, but Watch Dogs Legion for £2.75, yes, I'm picking this one up. I know the reviews haven't been exactly favourable of this one, but the trailers looked incredible. For that price, I can't pass it up. With my last bit of remaining in-store credit, I was tempted to pick up some trading cards, and these slam attacks were calling my name, but honestly, I have a very addictive personality, and I can see this was a slippery slope, so I did pass on these ones. But final thought from the Retro Retreat here, if you are a fan of trading cards, they more than have you covered. There's so many to pick from. Our penultimate stop this time is what I've said historically is one of the best CEX stores I've ever visited. Kings Lynn CEX is absolutely sublime, and I'm about to show you why. Kings Lynn CEX is one of only a few stores I've ever visited that has its PlayStation 1 games out on the shelves. Now, we all know by now, if we visit a CEX store, 9 times out of 10, these are behind a glass cabinet dreams and you can't get your hands on them. But here I am, picking up a copy of Metal Gear Solid Special Missions, and this is absolutely incredible. A great way to start our trip to CEX. Kings Lynn CEX has without a shadow of a doubt one of the biggest OG Xbox sections I've ever seen. Honestly, comment below the last time you have seen an Xbox section this large. We are talking about a console which is over 20 years old, and there's still sections like this existing in CEX stores, and there is absolute banger after banger after banger. I'm just kind of scrolling past these all here, but pause up and check out some of the titles in stock here at Kings Lynn CEX. It is absolutely incredible to see this many OG Xbox games in one place. It blew my mind. Next we come to the Xbox 360 section, and spoiler alert, Kings Lynn CEX did have the largest number of Xbox 360 games in stock of any CEX store in the world. That was until I visited. And spoiler alert, in an upcoming episode, I will show you what amazing games I picked up from here. But my first pickup from CEX almost came in the PlayStation 5 section with this special edition of WWE 2K24 with this absolutely beautiful slipcover. But at the end of the day, because the DLC codes would have been used, this is literally for a slipcover. I already have a copy of the game, so I did pass, but what a slipcover. More often than not, when I'm out game hunting, I'm joined by my loving wife, and she is a massive fan of the Nintendo Switch and the Roller Coaster Tycoon franchise. So as soon as we saw this one, we knew we had to pick it up. I never knew this game was released for the Switch, so as soon as we saw it, we had to grab it. But then, perusing the Xbox One section, we found another roller coaster based game, Planet Coaster. And at the end of the day, you do not see roller coaster or theme park based games very often, so we picked up both of these. But let me know in the comments down below, which is better, Roller Coaster Tycoon or Planet Coaster? I was a little bit disappointed by both the Wii U and the GameCube sections here in Kings Lynn CEX because there was a lot of games with their covers reprinted, but honestly this could be partially my fault as I have a very vast Wii U collection and there's very few games which I actually need to complete my Nintendo GameCube collection. It's by nowhere near a complete collection of every game ever released for the GameCube, but honestly I think I'm getting there with having every GameCube title which I needed for my collection. So honestly, finding games to fill those holes is getting harder and harder. Sadly, once again, a fairly small selection of retro here in the glass cabinet of dreams, but I think we're definitely talking quality over quantity and a little bit of everything. We're talking Dreamcast, PS1, even Evercade, and some absolutely amazing titles for the Nintendo GameCube, but unfortunately just nothing that really tickled my fancy here this time, but definitely a case of quality over quantity. But I did nearly miss some little hidden gems here in the glass cabinet of dreams, so I never knew you could pick up DJ Hero, the collector's edition, for this cheap on the Nintendo Wii. And speaking of cheap, I am amazed at how cheap the collector's edition for the new Street Fighter game is getting already. Just £45. If this had been for the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, I would have probably picked this up. So some real hidden gems and some absolute bangers here in CEX in Kings Lynn. We have one more stop though on our quest to find the best town for game hunting here in the UK, and somewhat ironically it is Game. Yes, Kings Lynn does have a very small branch of Game as such, even though it is hidden in the back of a Sports Direct store, as pretty much all game stores are now. But here's the thing, it's always worth a hunt, as you never know where you might find hiding in these dark recesses in the back of Sports Direct. Starting off, it wasn't looking too great. There was nothing that was really blowing my mind, but I did see this, which I've never seen before. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but I kind of like this collector's edition for Dead Island 2. If I hadn't picked this game up quite recently, yeah, I'd have probably been tempted by this. As I've said many times before on the channel, I like the weird and the wonderful, and honestly, it doesn't really get much more weird or wonderful than this Plussy Shark. Now, I'm an avid board gamer and I've never seen this before, and as a massive fan of the Gears of War games, let me know if you've played this one. It doesn't exactly scream excitement to me, but it is made by Steam Forged Games, so I'm guessing it's pretty good, but let me know if you've played it in the comments down below. And if you aren't quite sold on Kings Lynn just yet, I have one final word for you: Heron Foods. Here we are then, back in the games room from our trip to Kings Lynn, and what a strong start for the search for the best town for retro modern game hunting here in the UK. And even better, on our hunt today, we've managed to find some amazing bits for my collection. And we are starting off strong with the pickups. Check out this Forza Horizon 5 Xbox Series X controller, which I picked up from the Retro Retreat in the heart of Kings Lynn. Now, full disclaimer, I was actually planning to pick this up from CEX just down the road. I had a pile of things to trade in, and I actually traded these in at the Retro Retreat. That's because they offered a better price than CEX, so it's always worth checking in your local independent gaming store, especially when trading in. And I was lucky enough to get this in the box, and this controller is a thing of absolute beauty. I don't know what it is, but the Xbox just seems to have the best limited edition controllers, and honestly, for the money, I think this is one of the best controllers money can buy. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you'll know I'm a massive steelbook collector, and check this out right here. Carrying on the Forza theme, we have the Forza Horizon 3 steelbook for the Xbox. Now, full disclaimer again, this is empty, it is case only, but honestly, I've never seen this steelbook before, and as soon as I saw this in the Retro Retreat, I knew I had to have it. I have said before that CEX in Kings Lynn is one of the best stores I've ever visited, and once again this time it didn't disappoint. It has some of the biggest selections of games for consoles I've ever seen. It had one of the largest PlayStation 2 sections I've ever seen, the largest OG Xbox section I've ever seen, and most importantly the largest Xbox 360 selection in the country. Or should I say it did have. That's because in a future episode coming this Wednesday, I will show you the biggest Xbox selection in the whole of the UK in any CX stores and what games I picked up. But we are carrying on the Xbox theme with this game right here, Planet Coaster. Now, it's actually my wife who picked up this game because she is a massive fan of these roller coaster simulation games. They're games where you have your own sandbox to build your own park and run it exactly how you like. And this is a genre of games you just don't see very often anymore. These games always used to be on PC and very rarely made it to console. So as soon as we saw this game was released for the Xbox, we knew we had to pick it up. But like I said, my wife is a massive fan of these theme park sims and roller coaster builders, and that's why she had to pick up this game right here for the Nintendo Switch, Roller Coaster Tycoon Adventures. And here's the thing, how incredible is it that this game works on the Nintendo Switch? To be able to take this game on the go and to travel and build the theme park of your dreams, it really goes to show the power of the Nintendo Switch. There we have it, folks. That was Kings Lynn, a very strong start in our quest to try and find the best town for retro modern game hunting here in the UK. But sound off in the comments down below. Which town do I need to visit next and why? It's going to be a long journey and I cannot wait to see which places we visit on our quest to find the best town for retro modern game hunting here in the UK. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See you soon.